What is up, guys, and welcome back to another brand new movie review, where today's movie review, as you can tell by the title as I go reach it, is going to be Scooby-Doo, the 2002 Scooby-Doo movie. I have just watched it, and now it is time to dive straight into this review. I'm doing it a little early than normal to give you a kind of perspective of when this is being filmed. I'm filming this on the 9th of April, just before the Truman Show review goes live. And I'm also doing a behind the scenes vlog as well. So the link to that vlog will be in the description below if you're ever curious of how the process of how I do these movie reviews. But with that being said, now let's dive straight into the Scooby-Doo movie review with the movie plot. The plot is after solving another mystery, the Mystery Inc. crew split up and go their separate ways, and then it jumps 2 years into the future where Mondo Various gets the gang back together in order to solve the mystery of Spooky Island. And while on the plane to Spooky Island, Shaggy meets his love interest, Mary Jane, and they bond over their love of Scooby snacks. When they get to the island, Scooby is led into the forest, where he is the first to encounter the monsters of Spooky Island, and it isn't until the gang go exploring the castle that they find what is called the Damon-ritis, and that's when the monsters attack and kidnap Fred and a drunk Velma. The next morning, Shaggy and Scooby find Fred, who has since been taken over by one of the monsters, and give chase to Scooby and Shaggy, and whilst escaping, they find Mary Jane, who has also been taken over by one of the monsters, which Scooby notices, and this leads to Shaggy and Scooby having a fight that ends with Scooby getting captured, meaning it's all up to Shaggy to rescue his friends and save the day. This movie does a real good job of portraying the original characters of the gang and how they get sick of it and disband. Velma being the one who first quits because Fred is always stealing her ideas after they caught the person in the costume, and with Fred always teaming up with Daphne. But other than that, she doesn't really go through any character development other than being paired with Fred in the castle, and there was a scene cut from the movie showing that when the monster took over her body, she actually lets loose a bit, but that's quickly changed back to her old self when her spirit comes back. Fred doesn't really go through much character change in this movie, but has somewhat of a different character than the original Scooby-Doo cartoon, with this Fred being more of a dumb jock type. Daphne is the one to go through the most development of this movie, with her reasoning for quitting is being sick and tired of being the damsel in distress. So during the 2-year time skip, she learned some martial arts, which again was cut from the movie, seeing her train in a flashback. Shaggy and Scooby are basically the same as their cartoon counterparts and don't really get any development until the next movie. On the DVD I own, in the special features, it has an alternate opening, which I think would have been a better opening with the theme song that they made for the movie, and it being animated, with it then leading into the beginning of the movie that we got. But it was cut due to time constraints, which I think is a bit bullshit considering that the movie's an hour and 20 minutes. We all know by now that James Gunn wrote this movie and planned for it to be a bit more grown up, but had to change the script around to make Warner Brothers happy. When Shaggy mentions to Daphne about himself and Scooby not doing castles, he then goes on to describe events that happened in the very first episode of the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, that aired in 1969. On the DVD release of the Scooby-Doo 2002, there's a small making-of documentary, and in it shows that the voice actor for Scooby-Doo, Niall Fanning, was on set every day doing the voice of Scooby off-screen to interact with the actors on-screen. Matthew Lillard became close friends with Niall to try and make it seem that Shaggy's and Scooby's friendship was real. Scooby-Doo was released on June 8th, 2002 in the USA, and was made for a budget of 84 million USD and made back 275.7 million USD at the box office, with critics not liking this movie. But fans and kids enjoyed the movie that it got a sequel 2 years later. As a kid, I loved this movie. There was definitely a lot of things that went over my head, but it's still a good adaptation of Scooby-Doo. I had watched it a while ago with its sequel, and I enjoyed this one more than as The story felt a bit better than the sequel, but after rewatching it for this review, I have once again gone back on my thoughts on this movie. While yes, it is a great movie, but compared to its sequel, it's not that great, since most of the characters don't feel like their cartoon counterparts, except for Shaggy and Scooby. And it's easy to see why, knowing that this movie had so many different script rewrites with it, originally being an R-rated movie, then being changed down to a 12. But it's a product of its time in the early 2000s, but it's still a good movie. And well, that's the end of this movie. That's the end of this review. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you think of this movie down in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next Monday for another brand new movie review.
So how come we never met?
My mom didn't want anyone to know she had a kid with Ned.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Since we're practically family, you know. And my dad says we should just keep an eye on each other, you know?
Yeah, why not? Next time you could get there before they take me to the toilet.
You got it.